Hey everybody, this is Charles Curry here with eShopMarketer.com, and today I have Kaitlyn with me from Kaitlyn G Creations on Etsy. Thank you for joining me today, Kaitlyn.
Hi.
And we're going to get into it. We have a bunch of stuff. We're going to be talking about how Kaitlyn got started on Etsy, and her road to success on Etsy so far. And hopefully you'll be able to learn some things from her and apply them to your own shop as well. So the first question I have is, why did you open an Etsy shop? Why did you get started on Etsy?
Well, I opened my Etsy shop in 2015, and I started because I had a little baby girl, and I wanted to make hair bows for her, headbands, hair bows, and I made a couple. I had terrible pictures, never sold a thing, and kind of let that die down for about a year or so. I thought Etsy was just fun. I didn't look into any like particular shop names. I didn't look into any social media. I didn't even really read the rules. Sorry. I just
Uh-huh.
was like, hey, Etsy sounds fun. Let me just try to sell some hair bows. And it was just terrible. So I went dormant for about a year or so after that. But I just opened it kind of on a whim.
So your first year on Etsy, you did how many sales roughly did you do? Like
Maybe four. I mean, it was
maybe
really
four.
sad.
Wow, really? So you
Yeah.
started in 2015 and you started as hair bows. Is that still what you mainly sell?
Not at all.
Not at all. Total
No.
overhaul.
Yes. Yes.
So you went dormant for a year. What was it that got you back on Etsy after a year? Because most of the time when people don't have success, they don't come back with success later.
Yeah, it's well, it all came about sort of by accident. So what I do now is like custom apparel. I love monograms. I live in the South. We monogram everything. Sassy shirts, those are just that's kind of my niche. And in May of 2016, we found out we were pregnant with our second little baby girl. And 2 weeks later, I was laid off from my full-time accounting job.
Oh,
And we
wow.
were like, what's going to happen? What are we going to do? We were freaking out. We had just moved like 6 months or so into a much bigger house that we took my income into consideration when we
Uh-huh.
bought.
Of course.
And we were kind of freaking out. And my husband was like, well, why don't you try to do this vinyl shirt thing? Because I had a vinyl machine and an embroidery machine that I'd just been playing around with for my daughter. And he's like, why don't you just try to do that? And I said, no way. Nobody's ever going to want to know like what I make. Nobody's ever going to want to buy what I make. Not happening. I got to find another 9 to 5. And I did. I found another one a few weeks later. And I did not tell them that I was pregnant. So about 2 months after that, when it was obvious that I was pregnant, and we talked about it, I was still in my probationary period that they can pretty much fire you for whatever reason they want. And they told me things weren't working out anymore.
Oh, wow.
So at this point, I was 6 or 7 months pregnant, obviously showing, and I landed that day at my sister-in-law's house, my husband's sister, and I was hysterical. We had no idea what we were going to do, how we were going to bring in any kind of extra money. It was pointless for me to try to get another job in September when I was due in January. And she really pushed me to explore, selling what I was making on a bigger platform. I mean, I kind of sold here and there when your friends are like, hey, can you make a birthday shirt? Or hey, can you make this? Or hey, can you make that? And my sister-in-law really is who pushed me to uh, go back to Etsy. So that's how it kind of got ruffled back up.
Yeah, some in-laws are great, right?
I do have good ones.
That's good. Wow. So this is shaping up to be a good story. So you got back on Etsy, I'm guessing, and you're 6 or 7 months pregnant. You still hadn't your Etsy shop's basically still pretty much brand new at this point. Um, and what
Yes.
happened? What was the process? Did you start putting a lot of stuff on there or
Well, I put everything that I made as a special order, I listed on Etsy. And it was a lot of trial and error, basically,
Yeah.
for figuring out the search terms, the tags, the descriptions, all of everything that you want to include in your description so that your customers can read everything and know exactly what they're getting, what sizes they're getting, the size charts, the trademark, copyright. I mean, it's been a lot of trial and error, but I
Uh-huh.
kind of feel like now I've got most of it under my belt and figured out.
So once you got back on Etsy, and you're 6 or 7 months pregnant, what were the next 6 months like? Did you make many sales, or was it still really pretty slow?
It was pretty slow. It's a really slow train to get rolling. I feel like it's
Uh-huh.
kind of like if you were pushing, a steam engine on the tracks with a bunch of your friends, where it's really slow to get it started, but once it starts rolling, it rolls kind of by itself.
Right.
The first 6 or 7 months, honestly, were kind of slow. I mean, I sold, oh, maybe 250 sales between September and December of 2016.
Okay.
And it just kind of, there were just a couple more every day. It took me until probably about June of last year before I was consistently getting at least one order every day. But like I said, I take a couple months off, or not months, a couple weeks off after I had my baby in January. And I just really put a lot into figuring out search terms, what was popular, what was allowed, what's not allowed,
Yeah.
figuring out my customer service and how to not be defensive. If somebody comes back and says, hey, I don't like this, it doesn't fit right, whatever. At first I was like, I would take offense at it because I thought that they were directly insulting me because that's my work. But it's not about that. It's not about me, it's about them. So that
Right.
was another huge learning curve that I've had to follow.
Wow, that's actually a really good story because that sounds like a real, like I tell people my story, which really isn't that bad. Like how I bought these expensive printers and stuff, and I had no sales hardly for 4 months. But gosh, a new baby on the way, and then you lose your job and everything like that. That sounds really stressful. So, I think that's
It
really
was
good
crazy.
though. That's good for other people to know, like, because even though you hear this all the time, like everybody still does it, you always hear like, listen, just be patient, things are going to come around. But it's still really difficult though when you see someone else in the spot you want to be in, and you don't know how
Yes.
they got there, but you know they're there, and it seems like it wasn't that
Yeah.
difficult of a journey. Like I know I do that all the time. Like I see someone like, gosh, this is so frustrating. Like I've got
I
to,
still run into that.
yeah, yeah. Like I'm dealing with all of this stuff, and you're trying to get to that location. That in the journey is a big part of it.
Yes.
So how
Yeah.
has Etsy affected your life now that it looks like your shop's really blossomed. I see you've got over 5,000 sales on it now. How has it affected you?
Yeah. Um, in a lot of ways, it's a roller coaster, honestly.
Uh-huh.
Sales in general, I think I've never been in any sort of like sales field. I was a pharmacy technician for a while, and then I finished my degree and went straight into accounting. So I've never done sales of are hard to swallow at first when you're like, well, hey, over Christmas I was getting 30 orders a day, and then January comes and it's like you got
Mhm. Yeah.
three,
Yeah, it's tough.
so that was it's hard to figure out the curve. And like even now during the summertime, people are vacationing and they are with family and just doing out doing stuff, so they're not at home shopping as much. But how it's affected me, it's crazy. I've never really seen myself to be any form of stay-at-home mom. I thought I wanted that when my first daughter, who's 4 now, was born. I was trying to figure out any and every way that I could stay home with her. But then once I got back into the routine of going to my 9 to 5, I
Uh-huh.
really enjoyed it. I was sad that I missed out on some stuff, but it was almost like a break.
Yeah.
And now I am home with both of mine. They're now 4 and 1. Car off way or like 4.5 years earlier than I was supposed to. Just this past year, we put new floors in my house. the way that we figure in the money that I make is everything that I make is extra. So we don't depend on it for anything.
Okay.
So all of the extra stuff that we've been able to do, put my kid in t-ball, get new floors in the house, pay my car off, buy some extra outfits here and there, whatever, everything, pay for vacation. That was
Yeah.
awesome. I've paid for 2 vacations for my family, and it really financially feels good to be contributing, and I get to spend good quality time with my kids too.
Oh, that's great. Sorry, your internet's just a little zippy sometimes, so it's not always streaming it perfectly. But that's awesome,
Sorry.
though. That
I do
makes it
live in the booth.
live in the boonies. Yeah, I grew up in the South too, so I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But that's great, especially if you can set it up where you're not 100% depending on it. So it's not like this big scary thing if your sales dip a little bit one month or something like that. You're not stressing about it, which I think unless you've been on Etsy for a long time and you've got things really well shaken out, that's a really good way to address it. Because if you're too dependent on it, and like you do have those roller coasters where one month you've got Christmas and sales are going crazy, um, and the next month they're not. If you're trying to ride that same level of income every month, you might have run into some problems. So I think that's a really smart way to look at it. What would you tell someone that was considering opening an Etsy shop? What would be your little elevator pitch to them?
Um, Research first. Figure out, a good niche market. Don't don't jump in and go backwards like I did,
Mhm.
because it really did take a while for me to kind of catch up and figure out what's on the up and up. But there are going to be roller coasters. There are going to be ups and downs, and if you consistently have, great customer service, good pictures, quality items, I think that Etsy's one of the best platforms that you can sell on.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, that's actually something that I talk about too sometimes is, make sure you're selling something that you actually care about. Because I know like a lot of times people get started on something and they're just like, well, I want to do this space because I think there's a lot of financial opportunity, but they don't really like it. And in a way, it's kind of like, well, if you don't like it, what are you doing to yourself in 2 or 3 years? Like you're either depending that you're almost betting that you're going to fail and you won't have to do
Right.
something you don't like. But if you do, you're just setting yourself up for more stress in 2 or 3 years where you've got to, reevaluate or change directions or something. So that's I would go along with that. If you're going to start on Etsy, make sure it's something you care about, something that you're going to be able to enjoy doing for quite a while. Um, and when you set up your shop, go ahead, research your name, research your keywords, your social media and all that stuff. You and I both were talking before the call how we both made this mistake of setting up our shop
Yeah.
names before checking if the websites were available and the social media. And it's so picking a shop name is like it's surprisingly hard. You get all
It
creative
is
on it.
so hard.
Yeah, and I sat there for so long trying to come up with something creative that sounded kind of cool, that kind of made sense. And I mean, I don't think Wall Decal Source is really like the whoa, such a great name, but that's the one I landed on. And
Mine's my name.
yeah, I almost did that one too. I said, yeah, but the domain name isn't available, or it wasn't when I first set it up, and I had to buy it later down the road for I think $1,000, which I'm still lucky that it was only 1,000 because a lot of times these people, when they own your domain name, they're like 5 grand, 10 grand, just ludicrous amounts for a domain that's not valuable to
Wow.
anybody else. So. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, take a minute when you're getting your shop set up. Take a little bit of time, research it, and yeah, the software I would recommend to everybody is Name Checker. It's a little site you can pull it up and you type in your name, and it checks all the social media and the website, so you can just make sure everything's available if you're just getting started on Etsy. Um, so my
Right.
next question is, what has been your biggest breakthrough on Etsy? Did you have any like days or moments where you felt like you had like a noticeable milestone?
Well, one of my designs about a year ago was stolen by a Chinese wholesaler.
Oh boy.
I think anybody that is a bigger name on Etsy and has a popular product, a lot of people have been in my shoes where Chinese wholesalers take your exact picture and they put it on their
Hmm.
website selling it for $8 or $9. It takes 6 weeks to get in. Their customer service is terrible. So when I first noticed my picture being flooded on Facebook. I had so many friends. They're like, "Hey, isn't this your picture?" I mean, they took my watermark. My logo was a circle, and you can see where they edited out. I had so many people coming up to me, and honestly, I and my friends all posted on these ads. They're like, "Hey, this is stolen. Here's the real link." And I honestly think that I got a lot more business from that being stolen and a lot of people choosing to shop American, shop small, you know, where they know, hey, they're dealing with me, a person, rather
Yeah.
than somebody halfway across the world that, um, you don't know if you're ever even going to get what you paid for or what the
Mhm.
quality is going to be like or anything like that. So November, right before Christmas, I had an extraordinarily large month. People were ordering all kinds of custom stuff, and that was really when my eyes were open. Like, this is happening.
Uh-huh.
This is really, really happening. So, when I was getting 20 or 30 alerts a day that I was getting sales, every time my phone would go off, I was like, "What? What? What? This is crazy! I can't
Yeah,
believe
yeah.
that the numbers were as big as they were." So really, those two stick out in my head as being like game changers for me.
Wow. So you kind of turned this curse into a blessing. Like you're getting
Yeah,
ripped off, but it actually resulted in more sales for you because that's amazing. Wow. And do you think that
yeah. I wouldn't have thought.
was that because you were posting comments on the ads and then people would see your comment and
Yeah,
wow, that's incredible.
yeah.
So they didn't delete your comments from their ads very quickly?
Oh, they did. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It got to the point I'm banned from a couple of their pages,
Uh-huh.
but I had a slew. I have a lot of support from my family and friends, and I posted on my page. I said, "Hey, everybody, go here, comment this," and we all had the exact same copied and pasted message.
Uh-huh.
This picture has been stolen. Here's where you find that actual link, and it was almost like they couldn't delete us all. So
Wow,
it was
that's so
crazy.
funny. That's amazing. That's actually
Yeah.
really smart because yeah, I haven't had a lot of my stuff ripped off, but I've had a few, and I never thought to try and like I've never seen them run Facebook ads on it, but it pops up in random places. But that's a really brilliant and funny way to like, kind of take advantage of their ad traffic that's going on. Um, yeah,
Can you hold on just a second?
yeah,
Brief second. I'll be right back.
okay. Yeah, a lot of the if you're selling on Etsy, it's not uncommon for your shop to, if especially once you start doing well, um, it's not uncommon for your shop to start getting people to knock it off a little bit and take advantage of it. So I think instead of viewing it as a huge problem, because it doesn't usually affect people's sales that much, kind of view it as a compliment, or it is kind of a milestone. Like, oh, I'm finally hitting this level where now people are starting to knock me off a little bit. So in a way, it's almost like it's an accomplishment. Um, so if you
Yes.
started over, what would be a few things you would do differently?
You know, I don't I don't know that I would do anything different. I know there was a couple, stumbling points where I kind of felt like I was running myself into a wall, but honestly, I feel like I probably wouldn't be where I'm at if I hadn't of run into the problems that I kind of put myself into. So it's been an a journey, but I
Yeah.
don't think that I would change anything.
So, something I know a lot of people have a challenge with is keywords. What is some advice you have on keywords? How do you find your keywords and so on?
Oh my gosh. I still feel like I have trouble with keywords. I have almost 600 items in my shop, and it's crazy to me that I can keyword up one listing and it's shown up on page one of all the searches. And I feel like I use that same knowledge on a different listing and I can't find the dang thing for six or
Uh-huh.
seven pages.
Right.
It's hard to figure out keywords, tags, titles. I don't really have the time. I just kind of search, I put in what I would search for if I was looking for that particular item. So that's really my biggest tip is, if you were going to look for that soap or that pair of earrings or whatever yourself, what words do you think you would use to look for it?
And how many keywords do you usually put inside of a listing in the title?
I try to fill up my title with, I think it's 120 characters, something like that, maybe
Yeah.
140, but I do try to fill it up.
Okay, so pack it full of keywords. So you just kind of visualize or think
I
about
do.
what people would be searching for. So you don't necessarily use any keyword planners or keyword tools or anything like that. Wow, you've got some
No, I
natural.
do it all.
Yeah, you have some good natural keyword picking abilities then. If you're able to just kind of think of those on the
Oh,
fly.
wow, thanks.
Yeah, because I like nerd out on it. I pull up
Sometimes I do a search,
yeah, I'll use
not my
like
thing.
the keyword planner or the Etsy search suggestions or something like that, and trying to come up with a whole bunch of good keywords for a listing title. Um, how did you figure out the way keywords work on Etsy? Did that just kind of happen through trial and error?
Yeah, I'm part of a couple Facebook groups for Etsy sellers and buyers. And I kind of just I hang back and I read a lot about troubles that other sellers are having, or they'll post a problem and they'll get 50 comments of other sellers kind of chiming in their 2 cents.
Hmm.
So I do read a lot of other people's issues. Um, that's kind of where I learned a lot. I know a lot of people use the Etsy like chat groups and stuff that are Etsy, like Etsy.com slash
Yeah.
whatever chat groups they are, or groups or whatever. And I've never even looked at those boards. Um, I get a lot of my help from social media. And sometimes if I'm going to list a shirt for, that's got an elephant on it for a birthday, then sometimes I'll search, elephant birthday shirt and see what kind of tags other people are using to end up on page one. But I never will copy anybody's 100%. I try to just take one from here, one from there, and kind of piece it all together myself.
Right. And then what about renewing your listings? How do you renew listings very often?
I do. I renew my bestsellers. I have a handful of bestsellers, and if they're not moving, I'll renew them twice a day.
Twice a day. Oh,
But I
wow.
do try to at least renew five. Yeah, I don't know if it really works though. I'm really not like
It
I'm
doesn't.
not like
Yeah.
a nerd like you said about that. So I just kind of, if I'm feeling anxious, like hey, my sales are kind of low, I do what I think in my mind is going to help.
Uh-huh. Just do something. Yeah.
Yeah,
Renew some listings, do
just be
something.
proactive somehow.
Yeah, do something. Put
Yes.
some sort of action into it. Yeah, that's something I've always done that seemed to
Hmm.
work really well. Is just renew tons and tons of listings, because I know a lot of people. They're like, oh well, it expires after 4 months, so why would you ever renew it before then? But I don't know scientifically or like super specifically, but I know when you renew your listings, it does give it a little boost. It does usually put it back towards the
It
top of
does.
the search results and so on, and move it around.
Yeah.
How do you what do you use to take your pictures? Your pictures, they're really good looking. So, how did you learn how to take good
Thank
pictures
you.
like that? Yeah.
Um, it's this guy.
There
It's
you
my
go.
phone. I have a Google and I researched a lot of flat lays, kind of looking to see how they were styled.
Okay.
I consider myself not a very stylish person. So when I was laying out my first couple t-shirts on my front porch floor, they weren't doing so hot. And I actually invested in a background that I would roll up and roll out every time I wanted to take pictures. And I'll throw a pair of jeans in here, I'll throw a pair of shoes on there, and kind of evolved. If you look at some of my older listings, they're really crappy. I'm not even gonna lie.
Uh-huh.
But since we got our new wood floors, I use that as my background now.
So
I feel
you
like we
you
paid enough
stay
for them, might as well advertise them a little.
Yeah, that's smart. So you sell a t-shirt, but then you stage it with jeans and shoes and a necklace, like a whole outfit.
Outfit,
That's
yeah,
simple. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's a great idea because I know a lot of people they don't know how to kind of stage the item. What are they, what can you add to it to make it look different? But, if you can come up with a few
right,
things that what would be the phrase, complement it or like an outfit that would make it look good. You've got sunglasses in
yeah.
here.
Yeah, I know a lot of sellers that do what I do. They buy mock-up pictures and then kind of Photoshop their designs in over the mock-up. And that works for a lot of people. There are a lot of really successful Etsy shop owners that sell clothing based off mock-ups. None of mine are mock-ups.
Uh-huh.
Everything has been laid out by me, taken a picture of by me, because I kind of feel like if I'm going to buy something, I want to know exactly what it looks like.
Yeah.
Not everybody thinks like me, so that's cool. We're all different. But that's why I offer that in my shop, because that's what I would want if I was shopping.
Right, right. And they look good. I mean, they came out well. And
Thank
I
you.
think work towards your strength. I mean, if you're good at taking pictures or something like that, take good pictures. If you're terrible at taking pictures, but you're really good at Photoshop and you can, you know, put your logo or your design or whatever on there, that works too. But I don't think
Yes.
most people I don't think are good at that. I'm terrible at Photoshop and
No,
stuff like that. But
I'm not even willing to try that out.
yeah, not even in the on the agenda there. Um, so let
No.
me see. So you have one thing I noticed on your shop is you have a lot of categories. How come you have so many? Is that helpful? Do people actually use, poke around all of the different categories?
Um, it's easier for me, honestly,
Okay.
to keep everything as in categories that are as specific as possible. Not everything that I make can be even put into a list that's that long of categories. Um, but I feel like, when I go to a shop, a lot of what I look for is cut files. So say I'm looking for, I don't know, a cut file for a teacher shirt. Well, I
Hmm.
want to go to someone's shop and not have to go through 500 pictures to
Yeah.
find something close to what I'm looking for. So that's a little bit of why I made so many categories, because I felt like I want to make it as easy as possible for people to find what they want.
Okay. Have you tried doing any of the Etsy sales or anything like that? The more recent uh, options that they've added, Etsy sales and the follow-up things with favorites and stuff like that.
Yes, I do promoted listings, first of all. I have a $15 a day limit and it gets used up. But my sales from that are crazy. I think I've made probably around 10 times more than I've spent. So even even at
Oh
fifteen
wow.
dollars a day, it sounds kind of high. There's a lot of people in the groups that I'm a part of that only do $2 a day, and they do just fine with theirs. But I've noticed if I back down on what I'm spending per day, my sales aren't as high. So it's a balancing act. I do take part in almost every Etsy sale that they advertise. They just finished their birthday sale.
Uh-huh.
and I knock 10% off of my shop because I know a lot of people are looking on Etsy and they can filter by who's having a sale and who's not. So I do try to take part in all their sales unless I know they did a Black Friday sale last year and they wanted all of the sellers to take part in it. And I was so swamped that I was like, I can't,
Yeah.
I can't handle, taking a cut in my pay when I'm already so busy.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the only ones that I haven't taken part of.
Okay. Wow. So the $15 a day, is there much like that goes into that, or do you just turn it on, or did you add keywords or anything?
They, well, $15 a day. I started at, like $1 and I've just bumped it up here and there. My market is very saturated. It seems like everybody and their brother now has a vinyl cutter.
Uh-huh.
So, I try to set myself apart by taking good pictures and all that because I want to be on page one of all the searches. So if that means spending $15 a day, then I'm going to do it that way. And they use the keywords from what you've already typed in. So your SEO has to be pretty decent in order for the ads to really work in your favor.
Oh, wow. But that's great. $15 a day, and it's brought you, 10 times roughly returns. That's really, really good. Because last time I tried them, they were not good at all. So I got to give these another shot, I think. Wow. Um, so let me see. Poking around. I noticed that I mean, your shop's great. I mean, this shop's on point. So the other thing is
Thank you.
you have like across the board like 5-star reviews. Um, is that how have you gotten such a high approval rating? Such a high approval rating, such a high, good feedback rating.
Well, I try first of all to be, openly honest and everything. I have 1,000 reviews. Not all 1,000 of them are 5 stars.
I'm
You
sure.
will always have people that you cannot please, no
Uh-huh.
matter what you do. And I think my first couple that I ran into like that, it really, really bothered me
Yeah.
for like days. I was like, man, I'm a terrible person. I'm a terrible shop owner. Maybe I should shut down because this one person or these two people were just so unhappy. And a lot of the times it's not my fault.
Right.
I don't take returns on custom stuff because of sizing issues. Now, if I mess something up, if I put your name on it and I put Charles with a K, well, yeah, I'm going to replace it.
Uh-huh.
But if you order a medium and you get a medium and you don't like the way it fits, I don't have um, shop space to keep inventory on stuff. And I offer, as many size charts as I can so that people can really know exactly what they're going to get and know that it's going to fit. Also, I have switched to using mostly people, especially that shop on Etsy and small shops, most people know that brand name and they know how it's going to fit. They know that it's going to be good quality. So definitely using good quality materials is number one, but making sure that your customer service is had people that have left 5-star reviews that we had issues with their order, but I fixed it for them, or at least did whatever it took to make them happy.
Right.
So yeah, definitely not all 5-star reviews, but I do strive for all
Yeah.
5-star reviews.
So what would you tell somebody who's new, who, comes across that customer that is just a jerk? You can't make them happy. They send you 27 messages. They're opening a case against you, and it's like a $14 shirt. You're losing your mind. Like, what do you tell that person?
Um, it's not you, it's them.
Uh-huh.
that that is what I have to tell myself because, like I said, for a while, my first couple ones that were like that, it really did like affect me badly. And I think once you kind of come to the mindset that A, not everybody's like that, and
Hmm.
B, whatever if they're, 27 messaging you in 15 minutes and opening the case and just being nasty, they've got something else going on that they're not happy about. I mean, this is a $14 shirt, like you said,
Yeah.
and anybody that's in their right mind really wouldn't lose it that bad over something that's so minuscule. So I do try to, offer a little bit of grace and understand that maybe you've got something that's like really big on another part of your life and you're just taking it out on
Uh-huh.
me because it's easier that way. Um, so not taking it to heart is big. To know that if you know what you have done is quality, that you've offered good customer service, you've done what you can, then their problem is their problem, and you've done your part, and don't let it get to you.
So is your policy to refund people like that just to get them out of your life? Or if you've shipped them something, you stand your ground, like I shipped you this, you knew what you were getting. If you're going to leave me a bad review, fine, but that's not reasonable.
Kind of the second one. I another again on the Etsy chat groups and stuff I'm a part of on Facebook, it's a pretty definite 50-50 split between people that just say refund and get them out of your hair, or people that stand their ground and say, no, I didn't do anything wrong.
Uh-huh.
If the order is completely good on my side, I've, the product is good, they got the size they ordered, the design that they ordered, in the color that they ordered, if every box is checked, you don't get a refund just because you're unhappy for some reason. You got exactly what you ordered. And I try to kind of compare it to like Amazon, even though, my shop is like teeny tiny
Uh-huh.
compared to Amazon. I can't return something to Amazon and get the full refund just because I don't like it. Um, it doesn't work like that. So just because I'm Kaitlyn and Amazon's this huge conglomerate,
Hmm.
um, there's got to be some kind of middle ground.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's fair for me to lose money because you decide to throw a tantrum.
Yeah, very true. Okay. I think that's about all the questions I have. Is there any other things that you wanted to add to this, or any other advice you would give the budding Etsy seller?
The
Motivational
budding
page.
Etsy. Um, I'm really not good at that kind of stuff. This has totally taken me by surprise. I was telling you before we started recording, like this has just been crazy. It's been a crazy ride because I didn't expect it, and there's this part of me that is still not confident. So uh, when I get sales or when I keep seeing the 5-star reviews, I'm like, really, really, really,
Uh-huh.
you like my stuff, really? So I'm not great with the motivation other than just sticking with it. I mean, Etsy has opened a lot of doors for me. In the past couple weeks, I just opened my own standalone website that kind of mirrors a little bit of what I do on Etsy, but I also offer like some boutique clothing that I don't customize, that obviously I can't sell on Etsy because I don't customize it or make it or anything. But Etsy has given me a whole lot of confidence in that regard to be able to step out and do something that's as terrifying as opening your own, staying through the ups and downs. There are so many people that when your sales are down or when you've been open for a month and you haven't gotten a sale, they just quit. And if you really want it, you can't quit. There's been
Right.
people that have gotten hundreds of sales, in a couple months right after they open. There's been people that it's taken years. So everybody's path is different, and I still have to learn that myself sometimes. I'll look at other shops that have 180,000 sales, and
Hmm.
I'm just so intimidated. Like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I could never get there. And a year ago, I didn't think I would be where I am now. So have faith in yourself.
That's great. Yeah, it's funny. I actually talked to a lady one time. I think she had a supply shop, which the supply shops make a lot of sales because they're very, low dollar items. But I
Yeah.
think she had like 80,000 sales or something. And, I got on the phone with her, and she was like not technical at all. Like I was showing her so many new things in Etsy, and she was like, "Oh wow, I had no idea you could do that." And I'm just like mind blown. Like, oh my God! Like I think I'm like talking to like, you know, the Etsy god. Like this lady is a master. She's been here for years, and she had a good shop. She put her listings on there, and they sold. They were well priced. It was pretty straightforward. So I thought it was really funny when I talked to her. I was really surprised at it. She was an older lady, and
That's that's
the
awesome.
yeah, the technical part of it, she was just like, she was still pretty new at it. I felt like I was her grandkid teaching her a whole bunch of new stuff or something on Etsy. Well, Kaitlyn, yeah, I
That's
want to
great.
acknowledge you for a moment here. I think you have a really good shop, and you obviously care a lot about your customers. You take real pictures. You got fantastic 5-star reviews, and you've definitely. Can you hear the car horn? Of course, there's a car horn going off.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, you've definitely been through a journey on your shop, and you've persevered through it and done a really good job with it. So I just want to acknowledge you for having done a
Thank
fantastic job
you.
and working hard to get where you've gotten to today.
Thank you. Thank you so
Um,
much.
yeah, you're welcome. So I think that's everything we have for the interview today. You guys can share this with your friends, post it on Facebook, put it everywhere. And if you want more information, go to eshopmarketer.com. If you want to check out Kaitlyn's shop, her shop here, I'll pull it over the screen here. Her shop is Kaitlyn G Creations, and she sells t-shirts and monogrammed clothing and all sorts of awesome things. So thank you for taking your time with me today and being on the call. I really appreciate it.